Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Canal Days, What Life Was Like in the Industrial Connecticut River Valley of Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and joining us today is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Como. He personally offers and leads public and private tours, as well as presentations of historical sites within communities throughout the state of Massachusetts. Currently, the communities he has chosen to focus on this year are Holyoke, Chicopee, South Hadley, and East Hampton, and also Granby and Amherst as well. His tours spotlight the local canals, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as various parks, streets, and selected historical houses within each community. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the Chicopee Bike Path. So, where is the Chicopee Bike Path located?
Well, it has two ends, so you can get on those two ends. You can also get on some side streets in the middle part of the bike path. Now, this bike path is a complement to the one that's in Springfield. They're named the same, and so we're going to talk about today the highlights of the path, what this bike path is part of, and then will there be improvements to it. But you can get on this in the north at Nash Park, and you go down Ferry Street to get there, and there at Nash Park you'll see the inlet or outlet for the bike path. And it travels to the south for 2.4 miles in total. Also at Nash Park you can see a field there, baseball field, soccer field, basketball court, and the river. And you can start to see at least the beginning of the dike that's out there. The other way to get on is toward the south, and that's one is at the boat access location in Chicopee, and it's called Medina Street Boat Launch. And there you can walk onto a separate lane just for people going on the bike path. You can park in your own special park, and as soon as you go on about 100 feet away is the first bridge, and that bridge goes over a place where the dike's official pump station is, and they can pump the water below you. They hardly ever use that, and they made the bridge so nice there. It's wonderful. Then another 100 feet beyond that, there's the start of the dike itself, but the bike path continues to the left fork. And so most people will walk or bike on the bike path, but you're going to walk on the top of the dike if you want, but don't bicycle right up there. And they also have another entrance point off of street that's there, so you can walk from the neighborhood right onto the bike path without going to the boat launch, or you can get off from the boat launch area. So there's two access points in the south. And then in the middle you have a lot of things to see. The Connecticut River, especially visible during 6 months of the year when there's no vegetation around. And there's also the dike system off to your right-hand side. And it's a very quiet, level walk, so a lot of people either like to walk or bike very well out in that location.
And what are some of the highlights of the bike path?
I would say the highlight is the bridge itself. It's so well made, and it looks very nice. And it's interesting how they did it. They made it look arch when it's just a single span bridge. It's only maybe 40 feet long, but it just has a nice look to it. And the pump station, they made it look naturally fit inside there. And then other parts that are real cool are the Interstate 90 bridge is right in the south. And there you get a look at the underneath of that bridge in a heavy amount of traffic. It's called by most people the Massachusetts Turnpike. Right? And you can also see towards the north a lot more of beautiful trees. You're a little further away from the river, but during the 6 months of the year, no leaves there, that part becomes a very nice look. You get to see across the river towards Holyoke on the northern part, and across the river towards West Springfield on the southern reaches.
Now, real quick, before we continue with the rest of our interview, just to fill our listeners in, if you want to sign up for any of his various tours or find out more information, you can check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org, and there you can find other various videos and podcasts of the stops along each of his tours, as well as photos and text of the historical sites throughout as well. And for private tours or other inquiries, you can email him directly at bobcat 4214B@yahoo.com. And his tours make for fun, educational, outdoor activities for families and group parties. So getting back to our interview, and so the bike path is a part of what particular area?
Okay, this Chicopee bike path is partnered with the Springfield bike path. They're both walkway bike paths. And the one in Springfield and the one in Chicopee have a joint name to them. Most people call them Springfield bike path or walkway or Chicopee equivalent. But together they form the Connecticut River walkway and bikeway. And they're made together, built very similarly. They have features off them. The Springfield one has more features. Um, they were built on the side of the eastern bank of the Connecticut River. They're about the same length. Each is about 2.5 miles long. So the total length straight is 5 miles long. And the one in Springfield, actually you can go over the South End Bridge and meet the Agawam one. So that's also considered by some part of this Connecticut River bikeway. So it's a very interesting concept. And I like it. I hope they expand upon it. Someday I hope they join together, and we'll talk about that.
And do you think that any improvements will be made to the bike path in the future?
All right, one improvement may be at both ends you have recreation in the boat launch area at the south and at Nash Park at the north. I hope in the middle they can make a little parkway with benches. And they had a bit of a greenway about a quarter mile from the north end. And that was interesting to have that bridge. But I hope in the middle they can develop a little bit more. I hope someday they could connect the Chicopee bike path with the Springfield bike path. They're about 2 miles apart. Chicopee Center is in the way. You'd have to cross the Chicopee River with a bridge just for the bike users, and that's going to be very difficult. So my hope may not come around. The only reason Northampton has a bike bridge is because it was an old railroad bridge that was not taken out. But that hope might not be there for us in Chicopee. But, at least they've done a bike lane along some of the busy streets in Chicopee, so you can actually skirt along and then go back towards the river's direction. But making it a full bike path connected would be superb.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours and historical topics of your expertise. And we want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And you can check out a large selection of our other podcasts on his website, as well as on SoundCloud.com. And be sure to stay up to date with new podcasts and videos posted daily. Thank you for joining us.